Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games of all time. And one of the most impressive and awesome ways of defeating enemies is... No, not this one. Neither this. Okay, there are a lot of cool looking ways of dispatching of your enemies. But the one that makes you feel like you're an impenetrable wall and an unstoppable force is... The question is, can you beat Ghost of Tsushima with only perfect parries? First of all, we need to clarify some things. I know that certain enemies in the game are impossible to be parried, so any archer or brute will be killed in the normal way. Second, since the perfect parry is a skill you need to learn using skill points, I will not count anything that happens before I learn the skill. And that goes for the spear attacks and any other unblockable attacks that will be mitigated by using skill points later in the game. Now with this out of the way, let us begin. My journey started with a standoff, 200 samurai versus an army of Mongols. After watching Lord Adachi get disrespected by the Mongol leader, we charged into battle with the best battle cry in the history of game openings.
Cowards without honor deserve no mercy. No mercy!
At this point in the game, I had no way of perfect parrying the enemies, but there was no need. The only part where you actually need to attack enemies was this one. Thankfully, you can just hold the block button and let Lord Shimura do your work. After that, me and him were the only two samurai left. Of course, instead of retreating, we charged into battle and that ended up just as good as you would think. Lord Shimura was captured and I was on the verge of dying, but thankfully I was saved by Yuna. Okay, there isn't much to say about the first few missions, so I'll go over them very quickly. I did a tutorial with my uncle. I learned some useless things here like guard break, light and heavy attacks. I also learned how to parry, but we are going for perfection here. I thought that fighting a camp will give me a skill point so I can unlock the perfect parry. But I found out afterwards that it was not even barely enough. So, I did this mission with Yuna in order to get a skill point and unlock the perfect parry. If it helps, I tried to kill every enemy with normal parries. Since I was not going to finish the Tale of Ishikawa, I started with his mission. There is nothing really noticeable about this one, only the fact that I got a useless bow and the fact that I got a taste of just how bad I was at executing perfect parries. With this mission out of the way, I started the only tale that I was actually going to finish, the Tale of Lady Masako. I'm finishing this one because of two reasons. 1. It's the best tale in the game. 2. It gives me some pretty good charms later on. So, the mission started when I went to the Adachi estate, only to find out that everyone but Lady Masako was killed. In search of the killers, or at least some clues about them, we went to the Golden Temple and we followed the monk to some bandits. Well, this is a problem. But I had a solution. If I let myself get smacked by the enemy, it meant I didn't have to kill them in a standoff. Too bad it left me with 1 HP. And since I was still pretty much horrible at perfect parries, I died over and over again. When I finally managed to survive, we interrogated the monk, but Masako killed him before he could say anything. Man, I hope this blind rage doesn't come back later in the story to bite me in the ass. The most important thing about this tale was the fact that I got the armor that I will use through the entire game. The Samurai Clan armor. In short, it pretty much transforms me into a tank later on. I could have continued her story, but I had to help Yuna save Taka first. You see, what I didn't tell you is that in the first mission, we didn't find Taka, but we found out that he was in Azamo Bay. So we met with an old friend of Yuna's, Cahnge, and he helped us get inside the Mongol fort. This was one of the few stealth missions of this run. I tried to avoid killing any enemies, but I still ended up having to kill one guy. Thankfully, I managed to get to Taka, after which we safely got away. The next thing I had to do was secure Komatsu Forge, because I needed Taka to make a tool for me to scale the walls of Castle Canada. The Komatsu Forge fight was pretty tough. I would lie if I said I played it flawlessly. It didn't help that I also had to protect civilians who would constantly get attacked by Mongols, thus making me forced to hit them because I had no way of shoving them away for now. With the Mongol general dead, we actually get to see where the ghost rumor starts. Damn, this really is a Ghost of Tsushima. The only thing I had left to do was go and recruit the Straw Hats for the attack. I met with an old friend, Ryuzo, who was now the leader of the Straw Hats. I fought alongside him. This was actually the first time I used the smoke bomb. The fight had a lot of unparryable enemies, but I still finished the leader with style. After that, I wanted to help him, even though he made fun of me. We scouted a tower that was supposedly full of food, so we attacked it. I was actually starting to get the hang of it, and man does it feel good. Sadly, there was no food here, but after surveying the water, we found out that the food was probably on the boats. Me and Ryuzo went on said boats, and I flawlessly beat every enemy. But the Mongols were so against sharing that they preferred to sink their own ship than let us steal some food back. Let that sink in. Even though we found no food, we found the map that I gave to Ryuzo, and since Taka was done, I went to pick up my new tool. While I was thanking him for a job well done, Ryuzo barged in and said that he needed help. In order to help him, I did some Assassin's Creed stuff, but without the killing, and I freed his men to fight alongside me. The fight inside the fort was not tough at all. I had a lot of allies, so while I was waiting to parry an enemy, they pretty much killed 3 of them.
Good food, too.
Nice foreshadowing, sucker punch! With the hook finally in my possession, I went to get the parry boosting charm. Wait, where are the hook points? God damn it, I didn't need it. Yeah, so it turns out I was a big dum-dum, and I didn't need the hook at all for this. After that, I went to liberate some Mongol camps. There were only 2 noticeable ones. Azamo Bay, who had a boss, and another one who had a boss. The 2 bosses were pretty much 2 exact copies of each other, and with the charm equipped, they were finished in mere seconds. Just like me in bed. I also took some baths around the island. Sheesh, Jin be looking fine AF. Before going into the last mission of the act, I continued the tale of Masako. In the first story, we followed some men, and after stunting on said man, we kidnapped a woman just for her to be killed. After we caught up with her killer, we took a paper off his body. That paper, we brought it to the local Good Samaritan. He pinpointed the location of the man we were searching for. When we got there, I parried my way out of enemies, only for Masako to kill the guy and get no information. Again. Good job, you bitch. Anyways, now I had charms, but no charm slots, so I followed foxes for around 20 minutes to pray to shrines. This somehow made me able to carry more charms. I went to the Golden Temple and I upgraded the armor and my sword. With everything done, I started the last mission. I had to be sneaky at the beginning, and I was forced to stealth kill 2 enemies. After that, the game just proved how useless allies were. Yuna died 3 times and I had to use 3 smoke bombs to save her. Since the gate was locked, I had to go on a side path. I met Ryuzo and he betrayed me for his men. Could I blame him? I'm rambling like a madman of how my uncle will save us all. And he made a good point that he would send them into battle to die. I still had to fight him to save my life. At the end of the fight, after he rejected joining me, I took my frustration out on the Mongols by playing the next segment pretty much perfectly. After that, I was finally reunited with Lord Shimura. We went in the courtyard where we fought a battle with all of my allies. I didn't really do anything, but somehow Lady Masako still fell, again proving just how useless the AI was. I saw Ryuzo going behind my back and making some barbecue with the Khan. This will not go unpunished. After I talked to my uncle, I told Yuna that she was still forced to help us, and she got really mad. I mean, can you blame her? She wasn't even forced to help here. But she agreed to help by convincing the people of Yarikawa to join us. I talked with a monk that did not look like he was starved for days. Just saying. And then Act 2 finally started. I started the missions in order from short to long, so up north I went. I got to the estate and I was greeted by Yuriko, who told me to wait a bit before getting my armor. While waiting, I felt a little sad, so I decided to go and exert my poetry talent.
Leaves shade my father. His grave close, his soul distant. This old tree lives on.
Beautiful. After that, I had a self-acceptance moment before some goons interrupted me. Excuse me, I was having a metaphorical moment of putting on my father's mantle. I proceeded to beat them with ease, and I didn't even take off the Sakai armor. Just to show that armor meant nothing to me. Even though I switched it soon after, but Yuriko told me that she made poisons to kill off vermin, so I asked her to make it stronger so it can kill, bigger vermin. She accepted, and even though I put myself in danger by entering a Mongol camp to get materials to make a blowgun, I still decided to stick to parrying. After that, I said goodbye to Yuriko and I went to Mugi Cove. There, I talked to the lady in charge, who also proposed I'd come back later.
Come see me again sometime. I think we can help each other.
Look, I'm flattered, lady, but I have an island to save here. She also told me that the guy who owed Lord Shimura a debt was down drinking. I talked with the guy and we went back to his house. Problem? Anyways, after I saved his ass from 2 Ronin, he was more than eager to help me. We met up with Lord Shimura and he gave him a message he had to deliver to the Shogun. We had to cover him, and honestly this was the first time when I was starting to actually feel like the people saying that I fight like no one else was true. Even my uncle agreed with me.
Well done! I'm proud to fight beside you, G. See how the enemy fear you! Struck Lord Sakai!
At the end of the mission, I had to use a Hwacha to defend Goro. Lord Shimura also told me that he also sent a message that he wants to formally adopt me. Man, I sure hope I won't disappoint him. With everything else done, now it was time to try and recruit the people of Yarikawa. We started by sneaking inside through a cliché waterfall entrance. Inside, 2 people got flustered at the fact that I was the ghost. Yeah, I'm the ghost. Bring me to your leader. Anyways, he rejected my proposal, so I had to prove my worth. The best thing I could think of was to save some archers that were captured. The mission was easy. Again, a lot of friendly NPCs that pretty much did everything for me. Something noticeable in this story was that Taka started helping a lot more on the battlefield. He and Jin also made the first steps towards an awesome bromance. Man, I sure hope nothing bad happens to him. The Yarikawa siege is probably the best mission in the game. This whole mission was pretty much a constant epic fight and one perfect parry after another. These are some of my best plays. The general sadly had a fire weapon, so that meant I mostly had to dodge his attacks, but when I managed to parry him, he pretty much melted. I also made sure to BM him as much as possible.
Careful, Temuge. You can't get Khotun's reward if you're dead. Leave Tsushima now, and I might show you mercy. You have killed men in many countries, Temuge, but here, you die.
With the general down, I unlocked the ghost stance, a mechanic so powerful that I insta-killed everything. I couldn't ignore it and I was forced to use it. The Mongols were fleeing left and right after I used it, and it honestly even scared me. It was too much power for one man, so I won't use it from now on. With the fight won, I was reminded why this is the best game of 2020.
Who saved Yarikawa? We did.
You can't just stay here and wait for the Mongols to try again.
You say you are not soldiers. You are warriors.
Yep, screw the deep bad zombie sequel. I'll go for the cliché hero's journey. The Khan was a salty baby bitch, and he told Ryuzo to just get rid of me already. Since I was nearing the end of the second part of the island, I went to destroy all the Mongol camps available. After that, I rested in all the hot springs across the segment of the island, thinking about battle strategy. I wonder how big is the Khan's car. I also continued Masako's story. It is then that I realized that fighting a group of only shield enemies was the most boring thing in the game. They light their swords on fire and you can't parry them. Instead you have to dodge and dodge and dodge and... anyways, you get the gist. In these stories we see how Masako is tunnel visioning on finding the killers, to a point where she starts beating a monk just to get information about their whereabouts. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but in the previous story we learned that she cheated on her husband with a servant. But it was a woman, so it was okay, because this made her a bisexual queen. Yes, girl, slay! Okay, back to her obsessing over her search. After we find the monk, she tries to put an arrow in his head. This made me really mad, since she promised we will first talk to him. This forced my hand. I had to fight her. I played the fight almost flawlessly, getting perfect parry after perfect parry, while the Mongols were slowly getting closer and closer.
Hear them coming? They are the enemy.
Even though she tried to kill me, I recognized that grief got the better of her, and I gave her the sword to help me fight against the Mongols. With the Mongols dead, we traced the monk's footprints. We finally managed to get info about the person who sent the attack on Clan Adachi. It was Lady Masako's sister. But this had to wait, since there were more pressing matters right now. I got wind of Ryuzo's plans, and I knew he was at a close camp. I asked Yuna to join me one last time to kill Ryuzo, but she insisted that this was my fight, not hers. And I totally understood, so I said my farewells. I was getting ready to attack, when suddenly Taka joined me and he insisted on helping me. I finally agreed and he distracted the Mongols while I worked my magic. I finally got to Ryuzo, but a straw hat bonked me in the head, and when I woke up, I found myself tied to a pole with Taka in front of me. I think we all know where this cutscene goes. After the cutscene, I had only one goal.
Kill them all. Traitors.
At the exit, Yuna joined me. She found out about what happened and we teamed up to kill every last Mongol. After everything was done, Yuna buried her brother and she agreed to stay and fight.
Was Taka brave? At the end.
He was always brave.
I immediately started the next mission. We finally got the reinforcement from the Shogun and we started our attack. The battle was a slow burn, having to kill wave after wave of Mongols, but this time we had allies on our side. I tried to use effective tactics against the enemies, but Lord Shimura was scared I'll embarrass him in front of the Shogun. For the time I said fine, and I pushed onwards. When we finally got to the bridge, this happened. Lord Shimura said that we had to fight with honor, but Jin told him the best line in video game history.
Died on the beach.
He also showed how much of a hypocrite he was, by telling me I was ruled by emotion before slapping me. I knew his plans of repairing the bridge won't work, so I had everyone gather wolfbane for me to poison the enemy's drinks. I made sure to keep the ghost armor on for this mission, in Taka's memory. This is one of the only 100% forced stealth missions in the game, so I pretty much broke my parry only code, but after everything that they have done, this could be an exception. My plan worked, and as I walked through the dying Mongols, I was met by Ryuzo. He asked me to forgive him, but what he did was unforgivable. He didn't want to answer for his crimes, but I think the truth is that he'd rather die at the hands of his friend than at the hands of anyone else. Goodbye, old friend. Even though I was successful in retaking the castle, I was going to get punished for using unhonorable tactics. Yeah, right. Okay, boomer. That made him really mad, and I got incarcerated. I escaped though, with Cahnge's help. They found out I escaped, but I was close enough to the stables, so I took my horse and ran. Sadly, my horse got shot and I'll just let the scene speak for itself.
I'm sorry I couldn't protect you.
I love how simple yet meaningful the start of the third act is. So, I had to regroup with my allies. First, get to Yuna. Since I didn't have my equipment, I had to use stealth, and after I masterfully avoided every enemy, I discovered that the Mongols started using my poisons against Tsushima. I also got a taste of my own poison, but Yuna managed to save me. Hey, that makes it 2 for 2. We both knew that we needed to regroup somewhere, so we decided to go and take a nearby temple. On the way to the temple, we saw that even though Jin regrets dismissing his uncle, he knows what he did was the right thing. Anyways, the fight at the temple would have been actually good, if I didn't have to stop fighting and shove enemies away from the peasants every 5 seconds. Oh, and also the AI proved again just how useless it can be. We had a fort, but it missed something. People. So, In order to get some allies in the temple, I had to go and talk to some bandits that Yuna knew, and with their help I retook one of the Shimura forts. I also think that Yuna was not only a work partner with this guy.
Hey, Sidney. We can go now.
Oh yeah, they definitely fucked. With my allies here, I went to meet Masako, since me and her had some unfinished business. The last mission of Masako's story was really short. I probably could count on my hands how many times I needed to perfect parry the enemies. At the end of the mission, her sister ends her life out of spite, telling her she has nothing now. We also get the question, if this path does not lead to peace, then to what does it lead? And with that, Masako leaves until the next time we will need her. See, this is how you make a story about how someone loses everything in the pursuit of revenge. Without assassinating the character, if I might add. With everything now sorted out, I had only one thing I needed to do before starting the attack. Deliver a message to Lord Shimura. This was a stealth mission, but since assassinating any samurai would prove I was a monster, I didn't have to break any rules. The only noticeable thing in the whole mission was the fact that this guy just wouldn't turn around, so I had to distract him. Hey, what's over there?
Huh?
That was easy. I left him the message in the middle of his chamber, so that way he will see it. Now that we had an army backing us up, hopefully, we prepared to go into battle, but not before a cliché romantic moment, oh I don't want to lose you, between two characters.
We can find a boat. Sail somewhere quiet.
Jesus Christ, get a room. Also, now it's not the time for this. With everything prepared, we started the attack. It was time for the Khan to die. Knowing that he was close is what drove me and my allies to push through. Even though we were outnumbered, we fought skillfully through the Mongol waves. Again, the AI proved to be... what? Actually useful? Now this is what I call character development. The surprising thing was that when we were about to go in what was pretty much a suicide mission, Lord Shimura actually showed up with an army.
For Tsushima. No mercy!
I could not have said it better. I proceeded to fight my way through waves of enemies, until I got to the Khan, and I had only one thing to say to him.
You will never leave this island.
The fight itself was very underwhelming, but that's not a bad thing to say the least. It's a stark contrast from the beginning of my journey to this point. Either that or my armor was OP as fuck, because I barely took any damage from some attacks. The second part of the fight boils down to pairing the Mongols around him until the only two left are you and him. I almost had him when this prompt came up. I tried to see if I can parry him, but he doesn't attack anymore. Still, I got some satisfaction by bullying him in a corner. After this, he pretty much becomes a normal shield Mongol. Again, I could go into detail of what this means, but this is a challenge video, not a 2-hour-long analysis. With only 2 heavy attacks left, the Khan fell. He tried to say that we will both be remembered, but Jin made sure to tell him that he will be forgotten. With this, the war was finally won. I could finally have some peace, take it slow and rest now that the invasion leader was defeated. But I still had something to do. I met with Lord Shimura, and he told me that I lost everything trying to help my people. And besides that, he had to kill me.
You have no honor. Honor died on the beach. And you are a slave to it. Nothing.
This was the last battle of the run. A battle between honor and no honor, duty and what's right. A battle between father and son.
Wounds death to my spirit. Never heal.
I don't want to hurt you.
Revenge. This is not my revenge. It is my punishment.
I chose the ending that best fits the theme of the game and walked away. With this, the challenge was finally over. This was by far the most fun challenge I've ever done on this channel, and if it's one challenge I'd suggest you, the viewer, do, it's this one. Anyways, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next challenge.